Talking about being a father is hard for fathers to do. How do you measure success as a father? That's really hard, isn't it, guys? I mean, how do you measure success? Your kids are never finished. You have a project you finish. Curtis takes a car. He works on it. He fixes it. I'm amazed at how it comes out. And then he sells it, and it's done, and he's got his money. Right? That's awesome. When I see a car in that bad a shape, I give it to a junkyard because I can't fix it. But when you're done, you can say, it's done. Guys like projects, don't we? We like projects. We aren't like ladies. We don't like to get together and talk. Right? Guys like to get together and do something. Right, guys? This whole world has turned into a ladies' world. We're all kind of condemned for being men. Men don't like, let's get together and fellowship. Let's do something. I want to do something. Get it done. Feel like we've accomplished something. Get there and kill something. Bring it home. That's how God's made us. Yet today, everything's about being, getting in touch with that inner woman. Listen, that inner woman needs to stay put. Men need to be men. God's called us to be men. He's made us to be men. To stand up and honor Him and lead. And if I could say anything to you as fathers, lead. Because when you don't lead, somebody else will for you. When you aren't the leader, someone always fills in the gap. Sometimes it's the kids who lead, right? Have you ever seen I saw a football player one time on television. He had a toddler, and the toddler was ruling his life. Big old football player, and this little toddler just ran him all over the place. Yeah, that size doesn't matter. When you're a leader, you take charge. Taking charge is hard today. You know why it's hard today to take charge? Because nobody wants to follow. Several years ago, about 15 years ago, Mary Jo's uncle, Dallas, told me. He said, Roger, you need to get out of pastoring. I said, Dallas, this is what God's called me to. He said, you need to get out of pastoring. Go do evangelism someplace. Win somebody to Jesus. And I said, why? And he said, because people won't be pastored today. They don't want to listen. They don't want to follow. They want to do their own thing. But guess what? As we're driving here today, this morning, Mary Jo saw the largest garage sale she's seen in a long time. I know she wanted to say, let's stop. But it's Sunday morning. And as we drove by, I said, good grief. Sunday morning? Can't you be... And then I realized, 70% of this country isn't in church today. And in some areas, it's even higher than that. On every given Sunday, fewer and fewer people are in church. Where are Christians? I don't know. They're not going to church, but everybody's going to heaven in America. So nobody wants to honor God, but they are going to heaven. Nobody wants to follow, but they're all good Christians. Nobody wants to obey, but they're all good Christians. So we have a problem with leadership today, and we have a problem with fellowship. It's hard to lead. It's hard for a man to lead in this society we have today. When God has called us to be the leaders in the home, how do we lead? Beg? Plead? Yell? Get loud? Scream? Holler? Stomp? How do you lead? Well, you lead like God did. There are times when God just stepped back. You know the story of the prodigal son in Luke 15, I think it's Luke 15. You turn to Luke 15, and there's a verse in there I want you to see about the father. Because I don't think it's about so much the prodigal son. I think this is more the heavenly father. And you know the story here. This is a son who decides he wants his inheritance, and he's going to go off, and he's going to do his own thing with all of his inheritance. God gives him, the father gives him, this is Luke 15, God gives him his inheritance, the father. Gives it to him willingly. It's yours. Do whatever you want with it. So what does the son do? He goes off and he spends all of his money. And riotous living, I think King James says. Riotous living. That means he went downtown to the porno shops. He went to the bars. And he went to all the parties. And he spent all of his money. Everything gone. And when it was all gone, he had nowhere to go except get a job. And he got a job cleaning the slop in the pig farm. Now for a Jew, that's the worst thing you can do. They didn't have pigs. They didn't keep hogs because they didn't eat hogs. So he's there with the pigs and he's eating with the hogs. And while he's eating with the hogs, he looks up and he thinks, this is crazy. This is crazy. What am I doing? The servants at my dad's house have it better than I do. I'm going back home. And I am going to spend some time at home living as my dad's servant and being his servant. It'd be better than doing this. And he gets to go home. He starts on his way home. And on his way home, he's thinking, I'm going to tell Dad how stupid I was, how silly I was, how foolish I was, how just an absolute idiot I was. And would he please have me back and I'll be his servant and work for him the rest of my life. I know he's got it worked out. He's got it all planned out exactly what he's going to say. His repentance is deep. He understands his sin. He wants back. And look at the father in verse 20. So he got up and went to his father. But, those are great words. Anytime you see the word but, you need to stop. But, that's a word to go, what's happening here? But, while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. Now I want you to see what the father was like in this verse. His father let his son fail. There are far too many parents who won't let their kids fail. The worst thing you can do, let them fail. Let them fail. Why? Because they can't come to a place of submission until they have failed. They can't come to depend on God until they find they need to. And if you're always intervening for your kids, guys, and always doing for them and always helping them, you're going to hurt them. I think it was Holly, did you put up that thing on Facebook about yeah, what was the title of it? How to raise a home wrecker? How to raise a home wrecker. It was a good article. One of the things is just give them everything they want. You guys, you can't do that. This father gave him his inheritance, but he let him go. And let him go. It is really hard to let your kids go. It's really hard to watch them hurt themselves. But if you intervene, they won't come back the way they need to. They'll always depend on you. You have to let them go. Mary Jo came to a time in our life when she just said, I want to protect my kids from everything. She thought she was the great protector. I thought they ought to suffer a little. The kid ought to suffer a little. She's the great protector. One day she finally came to me and said, you know what, this is crazy. I can't protect my kids from everything. I can't do that. I mean, today, what do we do with our kids? Well, they can't drink this, they can't eat that, they can't touch that, they can't go there. What in the world have we become in this world? A kid needs to eat a little dirt. They do. It's good for them. Kid needs to hurt his knee a little bit. No, wear a helmet, wear guards in your knees, wear guards in your elbows, and ride that tricycle. We're going to protect them from everything. We have become a society of fools who protect when we shouldn't be protecting. We can't do anything anymore. Everybody has to you have to put something on that baby crib to say, if this kid falls out of this, it's your fault. Because people sue when the thing doesn't work right. We become this litigious country today. We're always going to court. It's always somebody's fault. Listen, this father let his kid suffer. Now, do you think he was really at home going, yeah, I'm glad he's suffering? No, he wasn't like that at all. This Father was waiting for him to return. This Father, our Heavenly Father, is saying, I don't enjoy your suffering. I don't enjoy the trouble you're having. I don't enjoy that, but you need it. You need to go through some struggle. Young adults, you need to go through trouble. You need to live like no one else, with the worst TV in the block and the lousiest couch. You need to live like that. You don't need to live off of somebody else. You need to live with nothing. Our first house was 8 by 35. Mobile home. Sat on the couch, put my feet on the table that had the TV on it. That was the whole front room. Little box like this, rabbit ears with tinfoil hanging off of it. It was terrible reception. Had one other piece of furniture in that little mobile home, besides the bed. That was important. Piano. Because Mary Jo was a music major and she had to do her senior recital. I knew her senior recital. I had heard it a million times. Every young couple needs to go through struggle. Don't they? It builds character. Most young couples get married thinking they can have life just like mom and dad did. This father didn't do that. He let him go. He let him suffer. Notice something else about this father? He did not go after his son. That's interesting, isn't it? He didn't go after him. This father actually stayed back and said, I'm here. But I'm looking. I'm anticipating. I'm waiting. I'm praying. Listen, you need to pray for your kids, dads. You need to pray for that woman you married. You need to pray for their mother. You need to pray for them. You need to pray every day. God, help this poor kid you've given me. Don't you think this father prayed? Don't you think he got up every day? Look at what it says. When he saw him, he was filled with compassion. He wasn't angry at his son at all. He had wasted everything. And this father was filled with compassion. He looked at his son and he said, I can just imagine him saying, I've prayed for you every day that I would see you coming home. This is a father who wants his son with him. This is a father who wants his daughter with him. This is a father who says, I care. And you and I care about our children, don't we? We care about them. We love them. We would give up anything for them. I'm not sure the kids know that. One of your jobs is to communicate to your kids that you would do anything for them if you could. I love my mother-in-law. She is 90 and going 90. I mean, she's going. Man, she is on fire. She does stuff all the time. And every once in a while she'll call and she'll say, is that this? I did this, did that. She calls Mary Jo about every other day. Sometimes I get the call. I talk to her. I have nothing to talk about. Just want to say hi. That's great. We talk. She's doing just that. She did a great service for me as a young father to my kids. She would always build me up to my kids. She would always say to my kids, your dad would do anything for you if he could, sweetie. Right, Melissa? Your dad would do anything for you. But he's a poor preacher and he got no money. But he would if he could. That's the kind of thing she taught them. She told them that. And I'm sure she told them more than once. Ladies, you want your husbands to be good fathers? You build them up to their children. I'm really tired of what goes on in television today. Let's go back to Father Knows Best. Let's go back to black and white and watch what Father Knows Best. Let's watch some of those things where the father was the wise guy in the house instead of what he is today, the wise guy. The idiot. The guy that can't fix anything. Let's go and get some parents who can't figure out the phone. That's what you see on television, right? You got a commercial. 2 little kids telling their parents what kind of phone system they need to have, what kind of phone program they need to have, because parents are idiots today on television. And men are the worst. Right? Isn't that what you see on television? I watch television and I think, who are those idiots they're talking about? can't fix anything, can't do anything. Hey, just get a beer and watch TV. That's all dads do today. And it's not all dads do today, is it? But that's what you see. And that's the picture. Ladies, you have to tell your kids, your dad loves you. I know he was upset with you, but he loves you. Then you get in the room and you close the door and you say, quit talking to your kids like that. Give it to them, but don't give it to them in front of the kids. Don't disrespect Dad. Do that. Dads love their kids. It's natural for them. What you can do is you need to support them when they're not around. You need to be saying to your kids, your dad is a great dad. Your dad loves you. And you'll say, I don't want to lie. I'm telling the truth. Really? Really? How about if we tell the truth about you? See, you have to build someone up. You can always accent the negative. That's easy, isn't it? I got into a deacon's meeting one time, and they just started tearing into me. This, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. And I said, put my hand up. And the guys are just, and I said, okay, I tell you what we're going to do, guys. We're going to take each one of you. We're all going to say bad things about each one of you. I bet everybody in this room could say something bad, won't you? Yeah, we could, but we don't do that. And see, you always want to talk bad about somebody else, but you're just as bad. How about just saying what's good? Because you're just as good. How about just saying to your kids, I love your dad. Your dad's great. He would do anything for you. He goes to work every day. He works 8, 10, 12 hours a day just so you can eat. Just so you can have a bed to sleep in. Because if Dad didn't work, now I know a lot of you ladies work too, but if Dad didn't work, we wouldn't have what we have. Right? If Dad didn't work, you wouldn't have what you have, right? You need to support Dad. I look at this and I say, this is a father who loved his son. Loved him with all of his heart. And it wasn't about what he did and didn't do. You know, guys, our kids weren't always good. They're not always good, are they? They don't always do what's right, do they? Yeah, like you always did what was right. You know, our kids are kids. Someone said to me, I can't believe my kid. Look what he did. I said, you just answered your question here. What question? What is he? He's a kid. He acts like a kid. Well, hello, kids act like kids. Hey, look at this father, and he said, I gave him all he had. I gave him all of his inheritance. What did he act like? A kid. What's a kid do? Does whatever he wants. They don't think through things. You spend that money now, what are you going to have next week? I don't know. That's a kid, right? Isn't it? Some of you fathers are saying, what is this kid not thinking? You got to fix the car next week. Where's that money going to come from? I don't care. Listen, kids are kids. So you love them anyway. And you teach them. And you talk to them. I get the feeling like this guy probably talked to his son. Probably gave him a long list of things he should do with the stuff he's getting. And you know what the kid did with the list? What kids always do with lists from mom and dad. They throw them away. He didn't listen. But when he had failed and it was all gone, now the father still loves him. Don't ever put your kids on a performance basis for your love. It's not about performance. This father loved his son in spite of what he did. That's the way God is. Now that doesn't mean he doesn't discipline, right, guys? You know how your parents always said to you, this is hurting me more than it hurts you? You got to be parents and you finally found out that's a lie? Because you're kind of enjoying this spanking thing every once in a while. You know, this discipline thing. You know it's necessary. It's nothing to do with love, about not loving them. Disciplining a child is nothing, it's not saying I don't love you. It actually says I love you. You go to Hebrews chapter 12 and you see that God disciplines those he loves, right? God disciplines them. So you men, it's our job to discipline them. And that's why we call them children. I disciplined you this morning. I am. Oh yeah. You know what I did? I said, I think she can pray. I think she should go back there and pray for Matt. And I said, go back and pray. And what did you respond? Yes, sir, Pastor, I'll do whatever you ask. No, you did what kids always do. Because you're a kid, right? But I'm so proud of you because you decided to go the next step, which is to do what you're told. Sure, I'm not sure what I would have done if you'd said no. Oh, Dad would take you and maybe not feed you lunch because he's embarrassed by you. But you did great. You said, okay, all right, I'll trust you. I'll go back there. And when I said, how'd you pray? Go, you did this because I knew you could. I disciplined you. Discipline isn't spanking only. Discipline is about showing you can. It's about leading you to things. It's about challenging you. We don't pout in our house. I didn't grow up pouting. Didn't even know what that meant. My dad must have whooped it out of me when I was really small. When our kids came along, we don't pout. Why? Because it's really funny. Freemans don't pout. I just convinced my kids. Did you ever pout, Melissa? Oh, no. Nobody pouted. Why? Because we don't pout. That's a form of discipline. We don't do that. I know we used to, you might have to say, but not anymore. I know I used to, but not anymore. And you start doing that with your kids. You love them in spite of how they act. I looked at Ryan and I said, Ryan, you can do this. And she went the typical thing because she's scared and it worried her. And she's thinking, this is beyond what I'm capable. And I know what's all going on in her head. And she's nervous. And I'm thinking, I don't think any less of Ryan. I'm just going to make her do it. I was proud of you. So you go and you do it. Part of discipline is that. No matter how she acts, I'm not going to think any less. I'm going to love Ryan just like any other day. Glad she did it. Think she'll grow because of it. But you love her just the same. But if you really love your kids, you discipline them. You keep them in line. And you discipline the kids. No, we don't scream. We don't do that. We don't throw our food. Your kids ever throw food? How many times? Hopefully not very many. Because at some point you said, we don't do that. Right? Curtis and I were talking about terrible twos yesterday. Not him. His son. They call them terrible twos for a reason. They're terrible. They think they're adults already. They don't know anything. And the job of a parent is to lovingly say no. Mature men say no to their drives, to their internal pushes. They learn to say no. Immature men do what they feel. I feel like doing this today. I feel like doing that. I feel like doing this. That's a child. You have to teach a child to do what's right, not what they feel. So the goal of discipline is always to get a person to make the right choices internally for themselves. This father sent his son off. I think he sent him off and thought, he's going to blow it. I just know it. He's probably 18, dumb. He's going to blow it all. But he loved him. He cared about him. And then when he saw him coming, look what it says in verse 20. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son. Guys, stand up. Take your position. Tell them what's right. Expect them to do what's right. And then when they fail, love them anyway. Discipline them. And then when they return, hug them. There's a time to spank. There's a time to put him in a corner. There's a time and time out. We never did the counting to 10 thing. I don't know. I have a concept of counting to 10 that's like you have 9 chances to disobey. And on the 10th, you better stop. So we never counted. It was one and done. One and done. I said stop, stop. You know when they stopped? Right after I said stop. If you want a kid to be able to, they're running out into the road and you yell stop, they stop. I'm counting to 10 for you to stop. And then the truck runs them over. So you need command. And this father said, I love you even when you failed. I love you. I took you back. You have to be able to forgive your kids and your wife. Forgive. You have to have that forgiving spirit like this father did. This father said nothing had changed. This son had wasted it. It was never coming back. All that money was gone. Gone. And this father said, I love you. In fact, I'm not even going to listen to you. Look at the next verse. He says, the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. He saw real repentance, by the way. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, quick, wait a minute. Where and there did he respond to his son? This father showed his forgiveness. He didn't just say it. This father said, my son is home. Get the party stuff out. Let's have a banquet. Let's have some fun. Let's do some singing. Let's do some celebrating. Get the party hats out and the little things you blow. Let's have fun. The son is home. He showed forgiveness. Show it. Words are cheap, people. Guys, show you care. Show you're forgiven. Show it. Put a smile on your face when they repent. You know, in this whole area of forgiveness, one of my most favorite moments with my son, my oldest. Why is it always the oldest? Because I think the man has the most trouble with the oldest boy. Because the oldest boy, you practice on, you learn stuff on. Never forget going to Wesley and saying, you got to look him in the eyes. I learned a long time ago, guys. Pretty intimidating. There are very few people I do this to, but it's very intimidating. So I get down on my knees and look him right in the eye about like this. I put my hands on his shoulders and I said, Wesley, Daddy was wrong. I'm sorry. Made him cry. He's 4 years old. 4 years old, he started to cry. And then he does the obligatory hug. Don't you just love it when your kid hugs you and he goes, where did they learn that? Because that's what mommies do to them. So he pat my back and he started to cry. It's okay, Daddy. Thought he was saying, you're such a jerk, Daddy. Listen, guys. If you're going to be like this father, you're going to have to demonstrate real forgiveness for your kids. Which means you give it to them and you ask for it. You say, would you forgive me? I yelled when I shouldn't have. I said what I shouldn't have. I did what I should not have done. It's humbling. But there's nothing better than being humble in front of your kids and saying what's right. It's never wrong when you're right to say I'm sorry. There are some men who cannot say I'm sorry. I know some. It's hard on kids to never hear I'm sorry. It's hard. Kid can't handle that. It's tough. Learn to say I'm sorry. This father, obviously, in this thing, didn't have to say I'm sorry, but he had that forgiving attitude. So I think a little extra is that we need to say I'm sorry. Now you look at this party he has, and he says in verse 21, the son said in verse 22, but the father said to the servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him, put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet, bring the fatted calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. He just said, this son is important to me. I thought he was gone. You know, sometimes you wonder if your kids are listening at all, right? Have you even heard a word I've said? Just thinking, when are we going to get it? You just don't give up. Just don't give up. Keep saying it. I have been a father for 40 years now. I still give my son advice. He wanted us to put a kitchen floor in. No, his wife wanted us to put a kitchen floor in their kitchen. And he thought we could do it in a day. And I said, well, it's a little hard because first you got to scrape everything off. Then you got to put the tile down. And then it's got to rest 24 hours. And then you can grout it. And it's got to rest 24 hours and you seal it. I said, it really takes about 3 days. And he said, oh. I said, you didn't know that, did you? He said, no. I said, are we going to be cooking in that kitchen? And he said, yeah, we got 17 people going to be here. I said, son, let me give you some advice. Do it next week. And he said, good idea. And we didn't. So I bought him the tile because I was really glad not to have to do it. But I gave him advice. You still give advice. It's 40 years. You're still thinking there's rough edges to fix on him. It's our job as father to help. How you do it has a lot to do with whether you're going to be victorious or not. How you lead your kids. But they need you to lead. They need you to be dad. They need you not to be their mom. They need you as dad. They need you to spend time with them. They need you to say things to them. They need you to teach them how to be a man, how to talk. They need you to say, we don't talk like that. We don't swear in our house. We have an ongoing battle with our extended family, all of them, about which words are appropriate and which are not. I won't tell you which ones they've decided are not, which ones are. But there is a disagreement on which words are appropriate or not. And so Papa thinks we don't talk that way. And then the little grandson comes and says, but Annie said that. But there are some things you can't teach. Now, don't think it's bad. They're not bad words. I don't like them. I don't like it. So we went with this family we had known for 28 years or something, and they met with us. We had seen the kids for the first time. They were our two boys' best friends when they were all 6 to 8 years old or something, best friends. Kirk says to me, I came to your house one day. I mean, they are at our house all the time. And he said, I heard you say something. And I was just so shocked. And I thought, oh gosh, what did he hear me say? I'm really kind of dreading this. He said, I didn't know what pastors said when they got upset about something. So I found out what pastors say when they get upset. Great, what did I say? I'm worried now. And he said, you said, oh, garbage. And he said, I really thought that's what pastors said when they got upset. And I said, glad that was the word he heard. Oh, garbage. And here he is 28 years later, and he still remembers that. Listen, kids, remember things. You're going to lead your kids, it's all your life. You're a father all your life. You're their advisor. You're their counselor. You're their helper. One time at Wesley, we were working on a church, and Wesley was doing the plumbing, and I was asking him a question about it. He said, Dad, you taught me all I know. I don't know. I guess this is right. And I thought, I was kind of hoping you'd learn from somebody else. And the plumbing has worked now for 15 years, so I guess it's okay. Listen, guys, that's our job. They need you. Mama can hug them. You can hug them. And you should. Oh, man. Stand up and be a leader. And being a leader today is not easy. This father was a leader. He let his son go. He let him hurt. He let him fall. You can't hold the bicycle all the time. You gotta let it go. Right? You teach your little kid how to ride a two-wheeler for the first time. You take the training wheels off. You wait for them to fall, because they're going to fall. You did. I did. They're going to fall. And when they fall, you say, all right, that's all right, let's look at it. Not too much blood. Right? You don't freak out like moms do. Dad just go, oh, suck it up and get up. Come on, get up. Listen, guys, your boys need that. Yeah, that's a little scrape. You know what we do when we have a little scrape in life? We get up. Don't teach your kid to sit there and cry. Man, let's go, let's do it again. Aaron came in the house one day, he took the keys and he threw them on the floor. I'm never driving again, he said. I said, you're never driving again? Good. I said, what do you mean you're not driving again? He said, I just took the car, we'd taken it and put it in front of the house, we're unloading some stuff out of it, and it was dark, and he decided to drive the car onto the road and park. He had his learner's permit. Well, he forgot there was a light post. Stood about this high, light post. Light was broken, and it was dark, and he put a nice little scrape on one side of the car. Melissa put a scrape on the other side of the car, going into the garage, and sorry, Melissa, it's true. He threw those keys down. He threw them down there, and he said, I'm never driving again. I said, what happened? He told me what happened, and I thought, I'm going to kill him. No. I said, pick up those keys. He picked him up, and I said, come with me. We got in the car, and I said, now drive. He drove around, and he said, I can't believe I hit that. I I said, I really can't believe you hit it either. It's kind of right in the yard, it's right there, but you're not going to quit. Because I'm not driving you everywhere you want to go. You got to learn to drive. What are you doing? You're saying, get out. That's what a man does. A woman just says, oh, honey, it's okay. Don't comfort him. Make him drive. Learn to drive. Get out there. You need to lead your kids. And not all sons. We got daughters. But you need to help your wife teach your girls how to be ladies, how to be women, how to take care of a man someday. Some of you ladies, listen, you need to teach your kids how to cook, how to clean. You got to teach your kids to do those things. Guys, teach your kids how to do something. Fix something. Imagine Curtis, listen, we got our grandsons there. We're trying to fix something. I know what it was. There's something wrong in the stool in their house. It broke. The handle broke. Well, you can't flush it. You got to take the top off and pull it on, put your hand down in there and pull it. So I went to the store and I got a part. I brought it home and I said, so Andrew, you ever fix this? Nope. I said, well, stand right here. You're going to learn. My grandson. I said, so here's what you do. It's really hard, guys. Changing that thing, and I showed him how to do it. We changed that thing, and he said, wow, that worked. I said, if it ever breaks again, you're going to fix it. It's part of our job, guys. Teaching them. So now I'm teaching my grandkids. Where's my son? It's our job. So be a man. Lead your home. Teach your kids. Teach your wife. Ladies, best thing you can do so that your husband is the best father, you follow your husband. That's the best thing you can do. Follow your husband. Don't argue with him in front of the kids. Take him to the bedroom and say, and have a good talk. But you follow. It takes more faith to follow. That's why most women don't follow. They want to lead. They've been taught that by our culture. They don't need you to lead. Your kids don't need you to lead. They need you to follow. You want your kids to be the best they can be, you be the best wife you can be. So he's free to be the best father. That's your job. It isn't easy. Good book for you to read. Each for the other. Each for the other. How you can be a good husband, a good wife. It's all about, guys, it's all about us standing up and leading. Isn't it? Being a father is the greatest thing in life. Right, guys? It's good, isn't it? Some of you are going, I'm thinking. There are such joys as we look. Stop looking at all the trouble. They're always, listen, kids cost you the rest of your life. You do not get money back from these kids unless they become super wealthy, and then maybe they'll buy you a car. Huh? A retirement home for you, yeah. Listen, kids cost us from the day they're born until the day they die. That's the joy of giving. They're always going to cost you. Go down to our grandson's graduation. Why? Because we love our kids and we love our grandson. And it costs us to go. It's always a cost. When they come, we buy all the food. When we go, we buy half the food or more. Kids cost. And that's a joy. This father, it cost him. That whole inheritance. Did he resent it? No. Stop resenting your kids. They're a cost. That's the joy you get. That's what your Father in heaven has done. He has given his very best. Can you not do the same and give your very best for your kids? Be like this father, willing to forgive, willing to receive, having a party. Look at the best in your kids. Listen, I discipline my kids. I talk to my kids. I discipline my grandkids. I talk to my grandkids. But I love them no matter how they act. We got some grandsons that are, wow. When they move in and they come to visit, it's like, whoa. Whoa. And every once in a while I got to go, stop. But I want to guarantee you, I hug every one of them. And I tell them how much I love them and how much I care for them. And sometimes I'm thinking that if you don't change, things are going to have to happen. Some people, you love them. Guys, you love them. And you discipline them. Help them know they're loved. Figure out how your kids need to be loved and love them. Even if it takes extra work. This father loved his son. Put him back in as a son. Gave him a party. It's great. The joys of being a father. Nothing better. Don't want to be a mother? Don't want to go through the pain? A big baby? Don't want to be a woman? Just want to be a man. Happy to be a man. And happy to love my family, my wife, and my kids. Happy that God has put me in that job. Sometimes it isn't the best situation. Some of you are in rough situations, I understand. But you better count it all joy when you fall into all kinds of troubles and tribulations. Find the joy in the situation you're in. Or you'll just be miserable. Remember what I said to the ladies on Mother's Day? It is always better to be happy than to be mad. So be happy being a man. Be happy being a father. Love your kids.